If your AC is running, but the temperature on your thermostat is only going up, check these things first before calling an HVAC technician to help save you hundreds, if not thousands, in repair bills. Let's start with an easy one that a lot of people miss, not just homeowners, but even technicians as well, and that is checking your filter. Now, at a quick glance, it may look clean, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not plugged. What I want you to do is actually take the filter out, shine a light on it, and I always like to take my finger and flick it to see if any type of dust comes off of it. Especially if it's white dust, it's going to be deceiving. White dust can come from drywall dust, or if you're using a portable humidifier in your home with tap water at any point, this can plug up your filter in a matter of days. I'm not kidding, I've seen this multiple times every month. And not all technicians check this, so this can lead to a misdiagnosis, which is going to be very expensive for you. Now, the filters that plug up faster, in my experience, are the 1-inch filters, which I do recommend changing every 1 to 3 months, depending on the conditions of your home. Now, why is this important? This leads to the next thing to check, is to see if your AC is actually frozen. And yes, I mean like frozen with ice. The easiest way to check is to go out to your outdoor unit, and you're going to see 2 copper lines. One of them may likely be frozen solid if it is that bad. If you're not seeing that, I would go back to your indoor unit at your air handler or your furnace, and you're going to see the evaporator coil. It's likely going to be cased, and if there are screws, I would undo the screws and look inside to see if the coil is frozen. If that's the case, that can be one of 2 things: either restriction in airflow or lack of refrigerant. And the reason that this will cause a frozen coil is because there's not enough air movement, and all that old air just sits at the evaporator coil and freezes over. Another common restriction is that I would check your vents throughout your home to see if you have any closed vents or blocked vents. In most houses, I see that they're actually blocked by couches and especially curtains from a window. All those things can cause these problems. Now, if it's just one vent that's blocked, that may not be the cause of the problem, but if multiple vents are blocked like that, it can add up. So just double check and see if you feel any airflow actually coming from the vents at all. Now, keep in mind, if your evaporator coil is frozen solid, you may not feel much air coming out of the vents. What I do recommend in this situation is to shut off your unit. There's usually a switch by your furnace or air handler. If you can't find it, then I would go to the breaker and just shut down the unit immediately. And some technicians sometimes tell you to run the heat or run the fan to melt it faster. I do not recommend this unless if you're absolutely desperate to get cooling back, because what can happen is that if your drain line is not big enough, it can overflow the drain pan on your evaporator coil and start to overflow, and I've seen it overflowing so much that it damages the furnace or air handler. So the best thing to do is to turn it off and monitor until the ice is gone. But in the event that you're not finding a frozen evaporator coil, let's go outside and check the outdoor unit. So you find that the outdoor unit is running. The first thing I would do is put my hand over the top to feel the air that's coming out of the condenser. Is it the same temperature as the outside, or is it really hot? With proper refrigerant, it is expected to be pretty warm, especially on a warmer day. But if it's way too hot and the skinny copper line for the refrigerant is really hot, that can indicate that the unit is actually overheating. And the most common cause of that is a plugged condenser coil. And a lot of people miss this because you have to go into a downward dog position to check the condition of the coil. And if you find that your coil looks pretty caked, that you actually can't see the aluminum part of the coil, it's definitely time to clean it. In my opinion, I don't think this is enough of a reason to call a technician. This you should be able to handle yourself. All you need is a water spigot, which I hope that you have on your home, and a garden hose. What you don't need is a power washer, because that will destroy the fin. First, I would turn the unit off at the thermostat and the breaker itself so that you don't accidentally cause any damage or have any water spraying up in your face. Second, take that garden hose and start spraying the coil at an angle. Your goal is to push the dirt off, not push it into the coil even deeper. Now, you're going to see a lot of videos online and a lot of super technicians that tell you that you have to take apart the whole entire unit and wash it inside out. Yes, that is the way to clean it thoroughly, but you don't need to do that thorough of a job at this time. We just need to get your house cool. And if it still looks really dirty, then you can schedule a maintenance tune-up with your technician, which they should include washing the coil for you. But what if the coil isn't plugged and the liquid line doesn't feel hot at all and you don't feel any heat coming from the fan itself? It is likely low on refrigerant, which I mentioned before as the second reason as to why you could also have a frozen coil. Now, the bad news is you do need a license to use gauges and to purchase refrigerant, so now would be the time to call a professional to come out and check this. But if you happen to have an EPA license, I do have plenty of videos videos on my channel showing you how to check the refrigerant levels and how to charge the unit as well. Another underrated tip that I have to share is to have expectations for your unit as well. If you're in an environment where it's 100+ degrees and it normally doesn't get that hot in that summer, your air conditioner may not be built for that. And this is pretty common in northern states. Our houses are designed for maximum heating, not necessarily maximum cooling. So I've gone into some houses where I literally find that the customer is turning down the thermostat to 55 degrees when the outdoor temperature is 90 degrees plus, and that's just not a realistic expectation even for the top of the line unit that you have. What's more realistic is trying to keep your unit in the 70s, and this is totally going to depend on what kind of unit you have, how old it is, and the condition of your home, mainly the insulation. These can all be contributing factors, so it's best to manage your expectations for your unit. If you're in a scenario where the unit sounds a little bit more quiet than usual, your compressor actually could not be running and just the fan. Do this at your own discretion. So what I would do in this scenario, if you do have an available disconnect, pull the disconnect out and see if you hear a clunk. That clunk can indicate that the scrolls in the compressor, if you have a scroll compressor, are coming to a stop, and that's a quick indication that your compressor was running. But if you pull the disconnect and you just hear the fan slowing down and that's it, that could indicate that your compressor is actually not running at all. And the most common reason to that is likely due to a failed capacitor, and I also mentioned this in my previous video, so make sure to check those out. What if you hear a really loud grinding noise? There's nothing wrong. It's just cooling extra fast. This can be a few things. The first thing I do, I would use the same method of pulling the disconnect and see if you hear the fan blade hitting something. Otherwise, if you suspect that the noise is coming from the compressor itself, it's best to just shut the unit down and have a technician come take a look at it, because it's likely related to a refrigerant problem, or it could be a failing compressor itself. It is also critical to make sure that there are no obstructions around the unit itself. I usually recommend having at least 2 feet on all sides, because I find that to be a very common problem. This may not affect you on a more mild day, but on those really hot days, you will notice a difference, not only in the cooling performance, but also your electric bill as well. But I'm curious, what did you find wrong with your unit? Drop it down in the comments, because there's likely someone out there that's dealing with the same issue as you. And if you're running into a scenario where your unit is not turning on at all, check out my last video for all the things to check before calling in a technician. I hope this video helped. If it did, please drop a like, and as usual, I'll see you guys in the next call.